Hi guys, here we are with chapter 17. As you can see, I'm recording from my classroom. I came in to pack up and it's a little bittersweet. So I figured while I'm here, I'll give you one last lesson from room 202. So chapter 17 is all about the tree of life. Today we're going to focus on chapter 17.1. So we are looking at the objective of identifying the domain that organisms have been placed into based off of their evolution of the groups. So chapter 17.1 is about the Linnaean system of classification. So our vocab words are taxonomy, taxon, binomial nomenclature, and genus. Taxonomy is the science of classifying and naming organisms. A taxon is a level within the Linnaean classification system that is organized into a nested hierarchy. Binomial nomenclature is a naming system in which species are given a two-part name using Latin words. And genus is the first name of the binomial nomenclature, the second most specific taxon in the Linnaean classification system that includes one or more physical similarities between species, which are thought to be closely related. So Linnaeus was the one who developed the naming system. Before Carlos Linnaeus, naturalists would name newly discovered species however they decided, and organisms were often named after the scientists who discovered them. This made communication between the scientists very difficult when they are trying to talk about the same organism. Linnaeus devised the system in the 1950s that standardized the way that organisms were classified. Taxonomy is the science of actually naming those organisms and then classifying them. So it gives a standard way to refer to all the species. It organizes the discovery of all living things. It classifies organisms based on their physical and structural similarities. Organisms get placed into different levels of hierarchy, which is a multi-level scale in which each level is nested into the next higher. Taxonomy, a group of organisms in a classification system. So the most basic Linnaean classification system, taxon is a species. It's most commonly defined as a group of organisms that can breed and produce offspring that are able to reproduce on their own. The Linnaean classification system gives each species a specific name. Scientific names are written in binomial nomenclature. It's a system that gives each species a two-part scientific name using Latin words. The first part of the scientific name is the genus. The genus includes one or more physical similarities in species that are thought to be closely related. So an example of this is Quercus, is the genus containing over 500 species of oak tree. The genus is always capitalized, and when typed, it's typed in italics, or if it's handwritten, it is underlined. The second part is the species descriptor. This refers to the trait of the species, the scientist who discovered it, or its narrative or native location. It's written in italics, not capitalized, underlined if handwritten, and it's never written alone. Mainly because alba means white, so Quercus albus means white oak tree, or Toito alba means white barn owl. Scientific names are easy to be translated. So Homo sapien is the scientific name for humans. Homo meaning upright or wise, and sapien meaning being. Why do we use scientific names? Scientific names are helpful in a number of ways. The genre contain hundreds of species which have common names, which allows scientists to talk about a particular species without confusion, especially when using common names, because many species have different common names depending on what country you're in or what region you're in. It gives clear communication about all living things. And we use this example that pill bugs, you guys probably know them as roly-polies, are also called sow bugs. They're also called potato bugs. So we use the scientific name so we know what we're talking about, and then we can refer to the common name from there. There are 7 levels, or taxa, in Linnaean's classification system, the broadest being kingdom. Then we have phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. There is a mnemonic device to help you remember this. Most commonly, people use King Philip comes over for great soup. If that helps you, King Philip comes over for great soup. The broadest taxon is kingdom. There are 6 kingdoms in the classification system. As you move down the levels, the classification gets more specific, and you can see that each level fits into the one before it. So our species, we are looking at Caninus lupius, so the gray wolf. That's the species. But when we go back, the genus is Canis, and that includes dogs, wolves, other wolves, foxes, hounds, things like that. And then we go into family. We're able to add a little bit more. We go into order. We're adding a little bit more because you're looking at the order of Carnivora, so anything that's a carnivore. The class would be Mammalia, so all mammals fit in there. The phylum, and then finally the kingdom is Animalia. We know that because the gray wolf is an animal. So each level fits into the one that's above it. But as we get narrower and more specific, we lose organisms each time. The classification system does have limitations. This classification system was discovered and started in the 1750s, before technology allowed us to study molecular or cellular data in organisms. So we were focusing mostly on those physical similarities or differences. But we know that just because organisms are physically similar does not mean that they are genetically related or molecularly related. The system does not account for similarities that evolve similar to the same environment. Scientists today are able to add in genetic research to help classify living things. This is more common than physical similarities due to common ancestry. And that is it for chapter 17.1. So thanks for hanging out. Fill out your notes and then start looking at that classification project, because the end of the year is going to be here before you know it, and you do not want to wait until the last minute to work on that. As always, if you have questions, just